Hello, this is the Alouette River. It's a very slow moving river in Pitt Meadows, very calm, lots of bird life and river otters and beavers. In this video, I'm gonna show you all the paddles that I own and which, if you want to buy a paddle, what to look for what you're using it for, how to size it, and what the different types are used for, different types of canoeing. The parts of a paddle. This part is called the handle. This is the shaft. This is the throat, where the shaft gets wide. This is the blade, and the bottom part, that's called the tip. So this particular paddle is called the Pathfinder. It's made by Grey Owl in Ontario. It's a good do-everything paddle. It's very comfortable. It's got really cool woodwork on it. I use this one more than any other paddle I own. So I like it because of the palm slope grip. It feels really good in your hand. And it's got a pretty wide blade, so it can move lots of water, but not too wide, so it's easy to paddle on a long trip. Yeah, so that's the Pathfinder. This is the Hammerhead. It's used for whitewater. I use this in big rivers. It's heavy, so I'd get tired quick if I was paddling 1,000 kilometers with it. But going down the river, the weight doesn't really matter that much. It's got a T-grip, so that I don't lose it in a big rapid. If it gets ripped out of my hands, I can hold on to it really good. It's got a crazy big blade, so it'll move lots of water really fast to maneuver around rocks and point my canoe in the right direction down the rapids. And it's a little bit longer, so I can reach out further and perform like braces to keep myself from capsizing. So the Hammerhead, made by Grey Owl in Ontario, good whitewater one. T-grip, huge blade. This one is called the Voyageur. It's a standard, less expensive one from Grey Owl. Square blade, not too big, not too small. Pear grip, sort of comfortable. Some people get blisters from it. Yeah, it's like a economy paddle. This one's called the Sugar Island. It's made by Grey Owl. Bigger blade than the Voyageur, so it can move more water. It's very light. It's got some awesome woodwork on it. It's cooler wood. And yeah, larger blade, move more water. Good for a day trip, or if you're pretty strong, long trips. This one's brand new, never been used before even. It's called the Java 11 because it's 11 degrees bent shaft. So bent shaft paddles are a little bit more efficient. You paddle them like this with the blade pointed upstream. So when you reach forward and you put it in the water, since it's bent there, you grab the water a little bit more forward and then bring it down here. So it's a little bit more efficient. This one's 11 degrees bent. You can get them more bent if you wanted for extra efficiency. I think 11 degrees is good. It's not too bent, but also, easy like a straight shaft paddle. So a bent shaft paddle would be awesome for efficiency. So if you're gonna do 10,000 paddle strokes, if you're going out on like a 2-week long trip with no rivers or maybe easy rivers, the bent shaft is the way to go. It's also got awesome woodwork. The Java 11 from Bending Branches, I think in Wisconsin. Also this black part around the side here, that's they call it rock guard, and it's thicker fiberglass cloth around the paddle, so for durability, push off rocks and stuff. This will probably be my new favorite paddle after the Pathfinder. Yeah, awesome paddle. This, I guess, is called the Feather brand from Cavaniss Woodworking in Calhoun City, Missouri. It's from Canadian Tire, and it costs $10, I think. My cousin and I went fishing and we realized we forgot paddles, so we just ran into Canadian Tire and got some cheap ones. These are not good. They're heavy, like really heavy, Super skinny blade, doesn't really push much water at all, and it's like the blade is thick, so when you're doing a J stroke and you come back out of the water, it's like pushes water even when you're coming out like that. So very cheap, Canadian Tire, but it's cheap for a reason, because it's not a good paddle. This monster, me and my buddy decided that we were gonna try and carve a paddle, and we didn't realize that we started with like a 6-foot board. So this paddle is a half done, kind of abandoned project, but I just wanted to show it to you because I think it's kind of cool. Thing's massive. So we put a T-grip on it. Jeez, this thing's heavy, even though it's made out of cedar. But yeah, huge homemade paddle. So those are all the paddles that I have in the garage. So the paddles are made out of wood, obviously, mostly. You can get aluminum ones too. Those are a little bit more durable, but they're kind of heavy, and they get really cold in the wintertime, and in the summer the metal gets hot. So wood is nicer. You can get aluminum. It's usually hardwood like maple or ash or hickory, covered with 4-ounce fiberglass cloth. So it's got a very thin layer of fiberglass over it. Eventually the fiberglass will wear off, like on my Pathfinder paddle here. I don't know if you can see, but so I should sand this off and re-fiberglass it, and then my paddle will be good to go again. And then I also tie little strings around my paddles so that I can tell which one's mine and which one's my partner's. So that's paddle maintenance. To size a paddle, very important. I'm 6 feet tall exactly, and I use a 52-inch paddle usually, or a 54-inch. So when you're sizing a paddle, it's not like, don't stand up and be like, oh, it's this size, because remember, you're going to be sitting in the canoe. So it's not the height of yourself that you're going to worry about. It's your torso length, because you're sitting in the canoe, right? So a good way to size a paddle is sit down. Turn the paddle upside down so that the handle's on the ground. And then if you're looking at the throat where the blade meets the shaft, then you know that's the correct size. So you're measuring your torso, not your legs. So sit down, look at the paddle about an arm's length away. And if you're looking at the throat, that's the correct size. So obviously this Pathfinder is the right size for me. Yeah. That's how you size a paddle. This is the first time I've ever used this brand new bent shaft. My dad got it for me for Christmas, last Christmas. So it's an 11-degree bend, which is not that much. It's not that bent, but I'm very surprised and happy with how much of a difference 11 degrees makes. Like we're moving, it's so much more efficient. We're moving way faster than if I was using a straight shaft paddle. And like when I begin the stroke, I can actually feel I'm like grabbing the water way sooner in the stroke. Feels good. I feel like very efficient. We're moving fast, but it's also, easy. It's not difficult. Yeah, so bent shaft paddles, pretty cool. Especially this one. It's also a really beautiful paddle.